Welcome back to another episode of the House Always Wins podcast. I'm Joey Andron.
I'm Chance Vanek.
And today we have a special guest on the show, and I'm really excited about it because if you've ever thought about getting into short-term rentals or maybe some creative finance deals, this is the episode that you want to watch because we have Jason Griggs.
Boys, thanks for having me.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man.
Dude, this is awesome, man. There has been such a massive push through the whole creative finance, through Airbnb over the past few years. And I'm getting more and more people coming to me looking for these types of deals. But I don't know. I feel as if there's been kind of like a shift away from Airbnb. So I'm hoping that you can shed some light on it because you are the Airbnb king, right? I mean, not only do you have Airbnbs here in Las Vegas, but you have them in other states as well, right?
I do. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so I guess we'll back up. I'm a real estate agent just like you guys are, but I really heavily got into investing right away. So I use myself as being an agent to help my clients, friends, family, but also I help myself. So being in the mix of having MLS access, I just kind of learned that investing in real estate was important, and I did that from the very beginning, and I just started buying as many properties as I could.
And did you, because you're not originally from Las Vegas?
No, I'm from Long Island, New York.
Long Island. And what brought you out to Las Vegas?
I came here to visit, and I never left.
Yeah.
That's your story, too.
That's my story, too. Everyone thought I was nuts when I left Miami. They were like, dude, you'll be back like in a month. You'll be back. And
How old were you when you?
Gosh, I was 37.
Okay. I was 22.
Okay.
So I didn't really have, I was a baby. I graduated grad school, and I was like, my buddy lived out here, and I was like, let's just go out and visit him. And then I just kept coming. And then one time I was like, I'm coming and I'm not leaving. Like, let's figure this out.
That's awesome.
How long were you here before you got licensed in real estate or started working in real estate?
So I was a teacher to start. Didn't really like it. Taught like a very bad area in North Las Vegas. Taught phys ed for a year. And then I got involved with the local lacrosse team. Started coaching, and through that network, I was given an opportunity to get my license at a brokerage, and that was it.
And here you are.
Ground running, yeah.
The Airbnb king of Henderson, right? Not really Las Vegas, more of Henderson.
Yeah, we can't do it in Las Vegas. So, yeah, we'll get into it.
So what got your what like really sparked your interest in Airbnb? Was that like a first step, or was it just, hey, I'm going to get my real estate license and buy some properties, or maybe just do general real estate?
Yeah, so my cousin Joe back in New York, he was really the one that pushed me. He was like, look, you're going to go get your license because real estate is like a quarter of the price of what it is in New York. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did, and he was my first client, and I bought my own house, and then he's like, we're going to start buying rental properties. So I found a little pocket in Sunridge, Henderson, right around the corner here. And I just started buying long-term rentals. And so as time went on, I was introduced to the short-term rental side of things. And the short-term rentals are a lot more profitable. Mm-hmm. They're a lot more work, but they're a lot more profitable than long-term. So that's how I got into it.
Okay, cool. And then so how many Airbnbs do you have now?
Great question.
So I have 32 total rentals. I think it's 18 now.
18 Airbnbs. 18 and where are they? How many are in Henderson?
There's 8 in Henderson specifically.
Okay.
8 total, yeah.
And the rest are out of state?
The rest are, I have some midterm ones that I flex back and forth. I have them in Kansas City. I have a house in New York. I have one in Gulfport, Mississippi. I have 2 in Gulfport, Mississippi. And 1 in Utah.
Wow.
Just got 1 in Utah.
And do you manage them all, or do you have property managers for the ones that are out of state?
Yeah, I manage most of my portfolio myself, and then I rely on, I have a great property manager in Kansas City. He does all my Kansas City ones.
Mm-hmm. And they're still thriving.
They're thriving.
Yeah.
Because you got to do them right.
Right.
To make money. I'll give you an example. I just was on an appointment an hour ago, and this guy's cranking an Airbnb, and it's absolutely disgusting. But he's making huge money. It's by the Strip. And we really created a standard with my Griggs Vacation Rentals company that we wanted to have like a really nice product. And so if you have a really nice product, they will do really well.
Okay. So because, I see a lot of, people online, especially on YouTube, right? You see all the ads, right? Like Airbnb's dead. Like get away from Airbnb. And I guess if you're doing it the right way, then they'll do well.
Yeah,
but if you don't do it the right way, you're not managing your bookings, you're not having the house clean the right way. If you don't have the right amenities, then they don't do so well.
Yeah, there's definitely a sweet science to it. But like with Henderson, it's super regulated, and so it's not oversaturated. Because I've bought in Airbnbs in different places where it was just too saturated. Like we did one last year in Arizona, and it didn't do well. So it was a problem that there was just too many of them because it wasn't regulated. And so that drives down the market.
Interesting.
So that's what's happening a lot across the board.
Was that in Phoenix? Or
Mesa.
In Mesa?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that the Arizona market got really saturated.
It did.
Is it just because they didn't have the laws set in place where you needed proper licensing?
It's like the Wild Wild West. Anyone could just start up and do one. Here, it's very regulated. You have to get a license. You have to apply for it every year. There's a zoning issue that you have to go through. So it's great if you get one because you'll make really good money because of the rules, but you have to abide by them.
Yeah, I had, in the recent years, I've had probably 100 people reach out to me looking for Airbnbs. They want to buy that investment property. They want to have some sort of cash flow. They don't know anything about Airbnb. And then after educating them about the process, it immediately shuts them down.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dead end. But it's like anything in life. If you really want the big dollars, you're going to have to work for it.
Well, it seems like every few months we hear about Airbnbs and, the government regulations, something happening. You've owned these properties long before all these regulations were put in. Not all of them, but you had properties long before these were put in place, right?
I did. And I think the rules are a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think having rules is a bad thing at all. So the Henderson, they put the rules in. Now, the Clark County and the city of Las Vegas, they're kind of on like a standstill. Like there's just no rules. There's no regulations yet. So,
but it's illegal though.
Yes, you're not allowed to do it.
And you'll get big fines.
You get big fines.
Give me an example of a fine if somebody just had an Airbnb and they're running it for a couple months.
Yeah, I mean the house I was just at an hour ago, right on the counter, $20,000.
20,000.
20,000, yeah.
For how many? Does it go per diem or is it just
To be honest, Joe, like I've never gotten one, so like I don't know where I don't know the structure. Where
you just know their big fines are coming out.
Like it was like a $20,303. Like I don't know what went on, if this guy got warnings or not. I don't really operate any illegal ones, as I call them. But like Vegas needs to figure it out because like our city's growing,
right?
And a lot of people are coming here. And, like, every hotel is booked up every weekend anyway.
Right.
And so people need a place to come here and stay.
Yeah, it's wild because I know of people, I should say, that take that big risk. And if you don't pay it, they just put a lien on the property.
Yeah. So, like, I've heard so many mixed things. Again, it's just there's just no rules in place. And the analogy I use is, like, imagine playing a soccer game. And you don't know how much time's left, and you don't know the score rules or whatever. So that's what people are doing. People are just like going into the game and not knowing, like, can I do this? Can I not do it? What's the risk of doing it?
Right.
And then you get slapped with this fine, and people are being creative with getting lawyers and doing paperwork to try and kind of reduce it. But I think they just need to regulate it like the city of Henderson did. I mean, the guest pays a tax, and that tax goes to the city, and they make money.
Money.
But I think the biggest challenge to find a property for Airbnb is the distance between another Airbnb within a neighborhood. Is that correct?
The city of Henderson. So there's 1,000 square foot rule. If I have one on the street, there's 1,000 square foot radius goes around, and nobody else can go into that sector.
Do you find it challenging to find properties that are Airbnb eligible?
In Henderson, yeah, it's very competitive because when they do come up, there's multiple offers.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So say a property, someone brings it across your desk that you're interested in turning into an Airbnb. What's your process to see if you can make this work?
Yeah, so I look at the map. There's a map on the City of Henderson website that you check.
Okay.
And if it's eligible, then I'll look at the house and be like, is this sexy enough to rent? Because I see houses all the time that are eligible, but there's no like wow factor in the house. You need a wow factor to like run, like it's like a mini hotel,
right? Especially in Las Vegas,
right? If you don't have like the one I was just at, it was just a plain Jane house with mattresses on the floor, and it's like who's gonna
there are no bed frames, nothing,
no,
just mattresses on the floor.
Mattresses.
But this guy's killing it. You said,
yeah, he's killing it because of the location. It's 5 minutes from the Strip.
But he's running the risk of getting this big fine.
He got the fine.
got the fine.
That's the one. He got the 20,000
right.
fine.
Yep.
Shit.
So it's kind of like, you know, give or take. But people, from what I see, most of the business is ran incorrectly. It's kind of like they don't really put any real love into their business. They just slap paint on the wall and just let it go. And that's why they don't last a very long time.
Yeah, and like having, like you mentioned, it's like a hotel, right? You have to have the right amenities. You have to have the right decor, right? You have to have like these sort of elements.
You have to have everything. The location of it. You really need a nice backyard. The backyard really brings in the good money. And then the nice furniture. Like you want people to come in and be like, oh, wow, this house is really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I want to come back.
So the one that you have is San Gabriel.
Yes.
That's your biggest one?
That's my biggest one, yep.
How many square feet is that?
9,000 square feet.
9,000.
Wow.
And how long have you owned that one for?
Almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's a very highly successful
Did
one.
that one just kick ass like right out the gate?
It did. It did. Well, it's scary. You're buying a big house. You don't know.
Yeah,
like,
that's
because
exciting.
it's definitely the biggest one in Henderson. And so we really took a shot on it, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, Barstool's rented it for the Super Bowl, right?
Yes, they did. We had Dana White rented for his TV show, and Conor McGregor was there, which was great. And then Barstool rented it for Super Bowl.
And what does something like that cost for when there's a big event in town like Super Bowl?
So you could probably get up to $100,000 for the month.
For the month?
On a big event like that, yeah.
Damn,
Yeah, these are good.
You're like, come back, Super Bowl. Let's do this again.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no, like, these companies, they want privacy. It's kind of off the strip, so there's like no issues. And it's in a really good area. So
I mean, it's got to be cool for you because you're like you mentioned Dana White, like you're in that UFC world as well.
Yeah.
So having Dana White at your house, throwing events, like it just really just builds your network too, right?
Yeah, it was surreal. I mean, I'm a big UFC fan. All my friends fight in UFC, and it was just when I first bought the house, because I bought it from Michael, right? Michael Gorton.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he was a listing agent.
Okay.
And I was like, this could be like the baddest Ultimate Fighter house. And then through like the grapevine of my friends, it got to somebody, and the producer reached out, and that was it.
That's awesome. Now, are you the sole owner in that house, or you have partners?
No, we have multiple partners.
Oh, okay.
What did you pay for the house?
1.4.
How much did you put into it?
We put about 280 into it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
I think it's worth. I mean, somebody else just listed one on the same street. It's only 4,000 square feet for like 1.6. I think it's over 3.
Nice.
2. Yeah, and then you're really not selling the real estate though. You're selling the business.
Sure.
Right.
So
and that's where the big money is.
Yeah. So.
But how do you replace it if you do sell it?
You can't.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
It's a one-on-one. It's a one-of-one gem. So it's like I feel like if you get a really nice house with that license in Henderson, it's a gold mine.
Yeah.
It
So
really
what are the biggest challenges you find with the Airbnb? Because you mentioned that having the business structure, putting some love into the property. Like, what's the biggest struggle that you find as an Airbnb owner?
So I'm not even going to talk about the struggle. I'm going to go the other way with it, where that if you have the right systems in place, which I really focused the last 6 months on, because our properties were being managed by a property manager, and we kind of took them over to kind of save some money and generate more money for the owners. It is such an easy business where you could just put the phone away and it really runs itself. So I don't really have a lot of problems because our systems are really strong. You need a really good cleaning staff. We hire a virtual assistant to kind of manage the back end, accounting stuff and messaging. But I probably spend maybe 20, 30 minutes on it a day.
Wow.
It's really not that
Really?
much. The harder parts are when things break and you got to go replace things. But I really don't have a lot of problems because the rules and the regulations in the city are really strict. And so we relay that to the guests and rock and roll.
You never really have any issues with the neighbors?
I've had an issue with a neighbor, really bad issue with one, but I had to get a lawyer involved, and they kind of let go a little bit. But, yeah, you need to explain to the neighbors what you're doing.
Right.
Because if you kind of do it under the radar, they're not going to like it.
Yeah.
So you got to really explain
Trying
to
to be
them.
sneaky.
Yeah, I always say up front like this. This is going to be a rental property. It's furnished. And then there was like, you're going to do Airbnb? And like, yeah, sometimes I am going to. And if there's ever any issues, just let me know.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, full disclosure is always the best, right? You
Yeah,
know, and
because
then they could also be like your best advocates that, hey, look, you know, we have an issue.
1,000,000% my neighbor, my one right here, my old house I just moved out of, I give her Golden Knights tickets. She watches the house, takes my trash pails in, like everything, yeah.
Oh, that's
such a good
solid
trade.
deal.
That's an awesome trade.
Yep.
That's so cool, man. And so all of the other Airbnbs that you have out of state are doing pretty well?
They do well.
Yeah.
And well, I mean they cash flow.
Yeah.
But they don't do Vegas numbers, Henderson numbers. No.
Yeah. Do they kind of break, like, not I want to say break even point, but they're relative to the cost of real estate, they do pretty well?
They do well because, like, I have my mortgage, the rent pays the mortgage, and I'll make a little bit on top, and it's very hands off for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm able to invest and not do a lot of work, but I'm banking on appreciation of these homes down the line. I'm not trying to make $1 million per house, like in cash flow. Like, I understand that. They're like base hits.
Yeah. That's cool. And the other markets, do they have regulations in place as well?
Yeah. The thing with the other markets is they're trying to adapt, kind of like what City of Henderson did. Mm-hmm. And it's like, for example, Kansas City split up. You have like Missouri, Kansas City, and then Kansas City.
Okay.
And then through that, there's another county. So there's so many counties in there. For us, it's easy, and we really only have 3. Mm-hmm. So it's just different.
I never would have thought of, because you had mentioned Missouri or Kansas City, excuse me. I was like, you're going to Kansas City. Like,
yeah.
Never even would have been a target on my mind or the map for me.
Big, apparently, right?
No,
right.
I mean,
football.
It's it's a very popular city. I would have never known about it. My friend told me he was investing there, and it's all. I'll invest on Pluto as long as the systems are correct, and I feel like I could trust somebody.
Sure.
And the numbers and the math works.
Yeah.
I'll invest anywhere. Yeah. But I see a lot of people, a lot of investors that are like, I don't want to try something new. I feel like you have to. Yeah. Because Vegas is saturated right now.
Well, yeah. Let's focus on Vegas. When's the last time you purchased a property for Airbnb in Las Vegas?
It's been a minute. I've been doing a lot more midterm rental stuff. So there's a real lack of nice furnished rentals. So we've been doing 30-day rentals. So buying in nicer areas like Mountain's Edge or Summerlin-ish areas and furnishing them and renting them out to insurance companies or just people for 30, 60, 90 days at a time.
And that still falls under the Airbnb regulations, or?
No, so every HOA or area will have their own regulation within the HOA. Okay. But in the city of Clark County, incorporated Clark County, you cannot do it shorter than 30 days at a time.
Okay.
That's their rule.
Yeah, I've been searching, I always search for deals, right? We have vast array of different types of clients that are looking for investments, primary residence, or looking for even rentals, and I help some friends out. And the other day, a friend hit me up. It was like, hey, I need a rental. He doesn't want anything furnished. He just wanted to lock something up for a year before he bought something. And I noticed a lot more furnished rentals hitting the market.
Yeah.
Do you feel as if like that's like the next wave to kind of saturate the market?
I don't think so, because people are cheap and they don't realize how expensive furniture is. And it's also not like the business won't take off like the Airbnb stuff will. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too concerned about that. I feel like we still have a real lack of inventory. Real lack of it. Yeah. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah. So the midterm rentals that you're buying, you're doing a lot of sub-2 deals?
Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about that a little bit. Like, how'd you get into that and what does that entail?
Yeah, I got into it kind of by accident. I went on an appointment, an agent referred me on an appointment. The guy's house was going into foreclosure, and she didn't really know how to do it, how to handle it. And I went on the appointment, and I basically saved the guy from getting foreclosed on. That was like at the very beginning of COVID. And I realized, I was like, okay, I just did this like kind of creative transaction. And then it got really popular, like maybe a year or two after that. So I just learned by doing it, by going on these appointments, and then the word kind of got out that I was able to save mortgages and help people do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Everyone thinks that like there's a negative stigma around the sub-2 stuff, but I'll be honest, like you're really helping a lot of people. Like I was helping somebody that was like down in the dumps, like they could not turn, and then when you help them, kind of save their credit and give them some money to kind of move on and go somewhere else, like they're really thankful.
Yeah, and the sub 2, just for our viewers so they can understand, is when somebody's looking to exit their mortgage or exit their house.
They're just
right?
going to exit their house. Yeah. They no longer can afford their mortgage anymore. That's probably the best example of it.
Yeah. And then they stay on the mortgage, and then the new buyer comes in.
Correct.
Maybe gives them some cash to walk away or step aside.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm taking over the payments. It's kind of like swap a lease.
Okay.
It's a really good example of like people do the swap a lease. They don't want the car anymore. So it's very similar with the real estate, but the mortgage stays in their name, and I'll take over the payments for them.
And then you're on title as
I'm
protection?
on title. Yeah, it'll be my home. I'll take over the home, and I'll be able to rent it out. That's what I'll do.
So how do you avoid like if that seller was to walk away and you're on title, they have that mortgage in place, and let's say they had something catastrophic happen and they have to file bankruptcy?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That is a risk of it. I've had people sign a deal and then call their mortgage company to kind of screw up the deal because they got divorced or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the risk. So you really have to vet the sellers, because when I'm doing this with them, I'm like, look, I'm kind of helping you out, right? Yeah, I like to do them and get a good deal on the real estate, but a lot of the times it's not a good deal up front. I got to wait for it to appreciate, or I have to get the rent to come in to kind of
Right.
to grow it. So yeah, you're helping somebody out to save their mortgage, because a lot of times they don't have equity in the home, and you're gonna see a lot of them now. I hope you could clip this. You're gonna see a lot of people who are gonna be hurting in their mortgage payments. These 6, 7, 8% rates that went on in the past 18 months here, and across the country. It's just not sustainable, and I'm already seeing it. You know, regular homes that are $3,600 a month.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
And that's the average. You know, I was helping a friend of mine. He wanted to buy an investment property, bank statement loan, only could come up with 10% down. And we were looking at $373,000. His payment was $3,100. You know, and I told him, I said, you're going to be negative every month. If you put a renter in here at $2,500, you're going to be 500 in the red every single month. And he was really contemplating on it, but I'm like, that's the reality of most people right now.
It is. You know, it's a great, the creative financing, it's a great tax benefit too. So if you get some, richer people out there that really need the tax break, that depreciation and that loss of rent is really helpful. But when I first started buying rentals, I remember I bought my first rental and I was cash flowing, I think $200 a month. And I thought that was great. I was like, wow, because the market was hot. I was like, this is great. And everyone's like, why would you do that? Why would you put $40,000 down to make $200 a month cash flow? And I still remember people were trying to talk me out of it. Anyway, I did it. But now that house is like worth $500,000 more than what I bought it for. And now I cash flow $2,000 a month because the rents went up and my mortgage is still $1,200.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to juice the rent up because time went on and rents got more expensive. So the biggest thing I see with real estate, people are not patient. You have to be patient. And it sucks because, as you get older, you got to wait a little bit. But it's just like you're putting a seed in the ground and you're watering it a little every year until it blossoms into a tree later on.
I mean, the last couple of years, we've seen 20% growth in a lot of these markets. I mean, the way that things are now, and the way, because before we had low interest rates, we had like 2.99, 2.5, almost down to like 1% for VA. It was crazy. And that you would see people bidding up these houses just to get it because the money was so cheap.
So cheap.
Now the money is so expensive, but when you get locked into like a sub-2 deal that somebody purchased last year and you're on that 6% interest rate and the rent's really not covering, do you think property values are really going to catch up? To where at least you can make up that equity yourself?
No, you're not going to be able to in this example that you're talking about. That's why I'm not buying at that high of an interest rate.
Well, yeah, you had mentioned that a lot of these are going to start coming to market probably.
Yeah, because I'm just going on the appointments and I'm just seeing. You ever see The Big Short?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. So remember the part of the movie where the guy's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like there's all these bills, and then he knocks on the door, and the renter doesn't even realize that the owner's not even paying his mortgage.
Right.
Like I just had that moment happen to me last week where the seller was just so behind, like just couldn't afford the $3,200 a month mortgage payment.
What do you think is going to happen with all these properties, though? Because that's no interest to you as a sub two.
Yeah,
because the rate foreclosures.
I think a lot of foreclosures are going to come.
Wow.
I think a lot of foreclosures are going to come because no investor is going to take on that bad debt. That's the whole part of real estate, right? You got to get good on the buy.
Yeah.
And buying a 7% interest rate.
That's not a good buy.
It's not a good buy. So I think we're going to see a bunch of them.
Oh.
And then, I mean, it's sad to say, but that's when opportunity presents itself for a lot of investors and end users too.
Well, I think the banks, like, they just got so greedy.
Yeah.
You know, they're right now they're super greedy. It's just not. They're giving out the loans like candy. Like, here you go. You can still get it to get the house you want, but it's 8%. And clients but just normal people, right? They just want the house. They don't realize like how expensive it is. And then our energy bill has like doubled.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And groceries have doubled.
Yeah.
And so now it's a lot more expensive. So like even if you're on that set income, everything is risen above that income, and it's going to go the other way.
I have that conversation with my wife every month. I'm like, what the hell are you spending on?
Yeah.
I'm like going through the statements. I'm like, babe,
Right.
you really don't need to get your nails done right now. Like,
It's not that. It's
Like
the same
stop going to Starbucks. It's like all the little incidentals, but then on like
Yeah, I know.
groceries and everything else, it's
everything
wild,
else.
man.
The power,
It's-
the gas.
I mean,
It costs like a normal family. Like if you just live life, it costs $10,000-$12,000 a month easily.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Easily.
When I moved to Vegas, my whole premise was it's so much cheaper to live where I'm from because property taxes in New York are $20,000 to $40,000 a year in some cases.
Yeah.
Now it's like I feel like Vegas is like more expensive than some like New York.
Yeah.
Because like a house in Summerlin's, like a nice house is like in Summerlin's like 1.5 million.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, right? So who could afford that?
Yeah.
Like only the top of the top people could afford something like that. 10,000.
You know, I worked for Woodside Homes for a little bit, and I closed and opened up one of their communities in the Cliffs called Skystone, and I think I was having this conversation with Chuck. It's the other day. When I was selling those homes, the base price, this was back in 2016, 17, the base price of those homes were $490,000, $500,000.
Wow.
And then the lot premiums were $30,000, $40,000 on average. Now those homes are reselling for like $1.8. It's
just think if you would have bought two.
Insane. Trust me, I think about that all the time. And I think back, dude, we were giving away $50,000 to the design center for options, and people were like, "Yeah, I'm not ready to buy it." I'm like, "You guys are nuts."
So like Vegas wasn't Vegas yet, right? I feel like when I moved here, not to toot my own horn too bad, but I just saw something in it. It was so unique. And then once the hockey team came, I'm like,
"Oh yeah."
Like if these people are bringing professional sports teams to this town, they see kind of what I was saying of it's just an insane city. And then, Summerlin got built out, and I'm a little bullish on like way North Vegas right now.
Like Northwest, like Kyle
not
Canyon?
even west, Northwest, just straight up.
Like
15,
Tully Springs.
Yes, all the way to the top, where it stops. Like it's nice up there.
It is.
It's really nice.
Really
it's
nice.
Clean. It's brand new stuff. So I've been trying to focus on that because you have to start thinking of like Summerlin is getting built out. Henderson's done being built out. Like where's the next Inspirata? Where's the next Cadence? And I think that's it.
That whole area, we get a lot of requests for that area in particular. And Kyle Canyon, you have Centennial Hills, Aliante. A lot of people, more than I ever expected, they are relocating here for the Air Force Base, for Nellis.
Yep.
So the last couple of deals that I've done were military, which is kind of neat. And everyone's coming back, it seems. And everybody wants that area because it's close. So, yeah, there's a big draw in that area.
Huge draw. And
if you like the airplane noise, because there's definitely a lot of
there
air traffic over there.
Yeah, it's like, wow, it's like, where's that coming from? You're looking around, you just hear those afterburners going.
But it's like it's like so funny how Vegas works because it's like the square, right? But it's like no one lives above the strip really, right? Everyone's like below it or east and west. And so like that area is only 15, 20 minutes from the strip. Like you can get to the Wynn 15. So it's like actually closer than like a Henderson. So I just feel like that portion is going to get
It's
developed.
definitely nicer than the East Henderson that they're building out right now.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I'd rather move over there than over there, for sure.
So would that be like a midterm rental market for you?
I think so. I just think anywhere in Vegas you could do midterm rentals.
Yeah.
If you have a nice product.
So for midterm, no licensing is needed.
You don't need licenses.
You just buy the house and rent it out minimum 30 days at length.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what's your premium? So if somebody wanted like a 3-month rental, so let's just say your monthly rent's going to be $2,200 on a 3-month rental, what would you increase it to?
If it's furnished, you got to aim for double.
Okay.
Double the market rent is kind of my
So you'd be like
jam.
like $4,600.
And I feel like that's a fair price because if you divide it by 30 days, it's like whatever, $200 a day.
Yeah.
That's what the hotels are. That's what
You don't really have people kind of balking at that. They're just, okay. They accept it because they understand that it's a shorter term.
They understand it, yes. And there's really no other options for them.
Mhm.
Like I've gotten in the past week, one of Michael's clients, and I got somebody else where their new build got delayed, or they want to buy a new build and it's going to be 9 months. So they're like, I need a place to live for 7 months. Where can you go find something for 7 months? Not 12.
Sure.
7.
Yeah.
So
It's got that weird number right in the middle.
So
Not
just
even in the middle.
having like flexibility in the business is nice because I could just put people and like, look, here are options and you could pick.
Have you thought about approaching any of the home builders and working with them?
I haven't at all, actually. No.
There's a real estate agent who's been working with quite a few home builders for more than a decade, and the people who need to sell their home. She was around before OfferPad and Open Door, and that would just buy your home. She would list it for them, and that's the only way that the builder would accept the contingency.
If she listed it.
If she lists
Smart.
it, yeah. So now she still works with a lot of home builders, but I wonder if that would be an opportunity for you, having such a big portfolio of midterm rentals, of approaching the
That's a
home
great
builders.
idea. I'm going to actually get on that. That's a really good idea. I never even thought of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I charge a premium
Yeah,
for my advice.
that's a good idea. That's what's great about this brokerage because like everybody in here
Has
has
an
got
idea.
great ideas and it's fun to network in here.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my first sub-2 deal,
Okay.
right? And I'm waiting for my client to sign the offer. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think I found a really good deal.
You
I'm
did.
Gonna, I'm going to get my feet wet,
Yep.
hopefully, with this one because I think she'll crush it.
Yep. I think that's a good one. Why don't you explain the deal?
So it's a single-family home that was broken up into 4 units, 2 studios, 2 1-bedrooms. It's already permitted. It has 4 kitchens. So by law, I guess you can only have 1 like gas range.
Yep.
And then the others are kind of like electric, like cooktops. So it's already outfitted, completely renovated. It's very close to the strip. It's fully occupied, and it's bringing in about $4,400 a month. The seller is looking to walk away with $220,000 of his equity. It's listed at $499
So why is he doing that?
because he's going after a bigger multifamily property. So he wants to free up some more cash.
And why wouldn't he sell it regularly?
Well, it's an option. You can buy it outright, or you can do the sub-2.
Right. So you're doing what's called we call it a hybrid. So
Okay.
you have a mortgage, right, and then he's like taking the financed equity portion of it.
Mhm.
So are you financing the equity, or are you just giving him down
Yeah, just
payment?
taking over the 180 balance.
Cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, it would be sub-2.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that she signs it. If I wish we were live, because if she was watching this, I'd be like, sign the damn offer. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been wanting to get into the sub-2, or I mean, I've talked about Airbnb. I think it was kind of like more over-analysis paralysis
Yeah.
kind of deal, and because I've already, I'm still licking my wounds from other things that I've done in the past, and I'm like, God, do I want to put my neck out there? Maybe something that I don't know, or am I gonna put too much risk on the line and
Right.
it's not gonna perform?
I feel like you got to be all in on one, particular thing. So
Mhm.
like I just became an expert in rentals
Yeah.
here in this town. And with that, it takes away from my retail side of things. So it's
Mhm.
like for me, I got to balance. Like I love helping people buy and sell real estate, but it's like I'm not like a full blown just a retail agent.
right.
So it's hard because if you're half and half, kind of what I am, like
Mhm.
you have to spend a lot of time finding deals and then spending time managing the business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
But what you're doing, like, I admire, because you're on the right track, because you're building portfolio, you're building your investment portfolio to where it's going to cash flow. And then that you don't have to sell real estate for the rest of your life.
Correct.
And I have that conversation with my team a lot too. And even my wife, I'm like, I need to make a shift, but I get so bogged down with the amount of business that we have.
Yeah.
You can't focus and get out there and find the deals for yourself.
I see it a lot. I mean, real estate agents that kind of mentored me were in the game a long time, and they have nothing. You know,
Yeah.
they have nothing to show for it. It's like, I feel like in real estate, it's a game, you get a trophy at the end, and the trophy is by owning all these homes. Like, that's why you play a game. You want to get, like, a real win. Like, just getting a win, pat on the back, like, hey, you know, I was top producer in my brokerage, cool. But, like, 10 years ago, and that's not cool anymore. So it's like when, you know, in 10 years from now, I could really flex and say, look, this is what I got. All this hard work led to this, and I could sell these. I could rent them. I could do whatever I want with them. But at least I have, like, just nest eggs stored away.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any rental properties?
Well, we own 2 homes. One of them my mother-in-law lives in. So, yeah, it's a rental. It's a rental.
Is she paying you rent?
Yeah, she pays the mortgage. She pays the mortgage.
All right.
All right, that's
That's
fine.
it.
And
That's great.
technically, well, her and my wife own the house, so yeah. But the house ain't going anywhere. It'll all be my kids eventually.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
But,
that's the game. I just tried to always buy as many rentals as I possibly could, and then I would partner with my clients if I felt like it was a good deal. I'm like, hey, would you be interested in taking my 50% portion, and we could be partners, and I could just do all the work. I'll manage it for us. And a lot of people like that. They're like, yeah, sure. No, like if they're confident that I'm confident I'm putting my money into the game too.
Sure. And you have the track record, sorry.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and you have the track record to prove it that, hey, look, this is what I've done and this is what I continue to do.
Yeah, I feel like I'm one of the better investors in town. I don't know if there's really anyone doing it scale-wise with the big ones. But, yeah, I just have it down, which is nice.
What is your end game? What do you plan on doing when all this is over, when you're done being a real estate agent?
Yeah, I mean, I think I love to coach sports. I got 2 little boys coming up, so that'll be fun with them. But, like, I have a net number of, like, $100,000 a month. So it's like once I get to $100,000 a month in cash flow, I think that's cool. Yeah. And then that's just, you know, I have my properties, right? They're paid off, and they're just pumping money. Like, I met a guy, I'll give him a shout-out, my buddy Tom, that I coach his son. And I was like, Tom, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I'm like, do you work? He's like, no. I'm like, did you work? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't do anything anymore. I'm like, well, what do you do? And he's like, I own 30 rentals in 89120-ish area, and I rent them. And he's like, they're all paid off.
Oh, wow.
And I just collect my $40,000 a month. And I have a boat in San Diego, and I live here a little bit, and I go back and forth. And he's
Living
like, I
the
can't
dream,
spend
man.
$40,000 a month. He's like, I'm 58 years old, 60 years old. He's like, I'll give them all to my kids. That's it.
Wow. How did he acquire those? Do you know?
He was a developer here in town, but he bought them so long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and he just rode the wave, rode through COVID, rode through.
He probably bought those properties at like $60,000, $80,000.
That's exactly when he bought them. He bought them at the very, very bottom. You know, millions. You know, those properties were millions and probably, you know, $15 to $25 million, just a ballpark of what they're worth.
Yeah.
But it's like he just chills and collects the rent.
That's the end game
awesome.
right there. Just to be able to chill, spend more time with your family.
Yeah,
stress-free life.
I'm helping a buddy now that I coach with, and he's a teacher, and he's like, I don't want to do teaching anymore. Like, it's a cool job. I mean, he makes decent money, but it's the freedom.
Yeah,
it's really the freedom of, like, I don't gotta listen to anybody, and I could do whatever I want whenever I want to do it, and it's like nice not having stress.
Yep.
Where it's like
One less thing to worry about.
money.
You see this, Greg?
Right.
I didn't have that,
Right.
Greg, like not too long ago.
Our business is hard,
man.
because our business is really hard because you're just relying on so many things that you can't control.
Exactly.
So when you buy real estate, I feel like it's the opposite of that. Like, I'm choosing where I buy, I'm choosing the exact location, I'm choosing how I run the business, and I'm choosing who pays me, right, with the renter.
Sure.
So I'm controlling everything.
Yeah.
With being an agent, you don't know when the next client's coming. You don't know what the interest rates are going to be. You don't know how the market's going to be doing. So it's just
and people cancel all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you put in 6 months of work. Like, I'm dealing with a client right now, North Las Vegas. Probably made 8 trips up there on a Saturday after soccer with my kids in the back seat, showing them houses because I want them. They're military and they want to get out of their rental. back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, an hour round trip because he gets off work at 3:30, right? Finally get him into contract. Tomorrow our due diligence period ends. He wants to cancel because they found another house. And then that's a 50-day close the seller wants. I'm like, bro, this is going to be like, it's a long time to deal with somebody. Then you got to hope that deal goes through because this is an assumable loan. It goes through the VA.
That's a long one.
And that's a long one, right? Yeah. And then at the end of it, you basically work for $18 an hour.
Yeah, see, like that's the thing. It's like that's a business where you're relying on somebody.
Yeah,
right.
Emotions.
Well, it's just like it's sales to the highest, and then you have to really rely on them to like it and actually perform.
Yeah.
I'm just done relying on people. Like, no doubt. I really like being an agent. I love it. Like, I'm addicted to it. I love helping my friends. Like, that's what's cool. When, like, you get a buddy that calls you and, like, hey, I like this house, or should I sell? And you could really advise them what to do. But the real game is by owning real estate.
Yeah.
Ownership of anything, right? Being in charge, making the calls, like you said, who you're working with, that's. And it's just
it's the best asset. Like, everybody asks me, like, do you play the stock market? And I don't. I can't control the stock market.
Control.
Yeah, no control at all.
This is a great example. Like, if I invest money in a good amount of money in Peloton, and the president of Peloton makes one dumb statement, and it crashes because this idiot just made a dumb statement. Now you're relying on, like, the top people of those companies. I'd rather just rely on myself.
No doubt.
But isn't that kind of like in the same lines, like when you buy a house, then all of a sudden the market, we have a flood of foreclosures and it brings the values down?
Yeah, but I feel I just trust Las Vegas. I feel like you have to really be bought into, like, where you're investing. And if you're not, then it's probably not going to work. Like, I really believed in Las Vegas, so it's like, why not support it and build with it? Like, go along with the rise of it.
Right.
I mean, do you see compared to the stories you hear of 2008, it was like a 16th of what the city is now.
Sure.
Right. But my scare is that we're getting a little greedy, like charging $1 million for a lot premium in Summerlin.
Right.
It's like getting a little wild. So we'll see.
Yeah. But the thing is that people still pay it. And
people still pay.
And, the biggest buyers right now are California buyers. They're cashing out. And they're coming here and they're paying. They're like, oh my God, I can get a 3,000, 4,000 square foot home for $1.5 million. That would cost me 10 in California. So people are comfortable paying those numbers, So I don't know if we're really going to see. Now, obviously, we're pricing a lot of people out of the market, especially people that were born and raised here, or people who have been here for a very long time that are maybe in the service industry, that are trying to afford a new home or need to refinance or whatever the thing is. Those people are priced out, and those are going to be your renters.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now, and you feel bad. Like, I really don't like to raise my rents and my long-term rentals. I like to just keep somebody in there for a very long time, but it comes a point where sometimes you just have to, because, like, the HOA is going up, and then the taxes are going up. Like, my taxes doubled since I bought one of my properties. So you got to go along with the times and just figure it out. Like, house always wins.
House always wins.
Right?
Same old story, just a different city, man.
That is it, man. So in closing, I want to touch on that. If somebody was interested in, let's say, starting their Airbnb business, what would be the best thing for them to do? Because I know you have a coaching program.
Yeah, so please reach out to me. I'm an open book. The problem that occurred when I got into this was I was getting so much intake of, hey, you got a minute? And a minute turns into a 2-hour phone call, right? And it's just educating an agent so they could educate their client. So what I did was I built out a coaching program where I will find you a property, and I will literally teach you how to manage this yourself. Or if you don't want to manage it, I'll manage it for you. And I'll educate you throughout the whole process. So I just took a nice couple. It was their first rental, first investment. We found that Rockledge house.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They bought it, and we furnished it, and it launched yesterday. They got a freaking $2,700 booking on the first day. And their mortgage is $4,000. So they'll do really well on that one.
That's great.
Yep.
Now, you partner with them, or you charge them a fee?
I did not partner with them. No, my fee was I was representing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but sometimes if I feel like it's a big project, yes, I will charge, because it is a lot of my time to sit and teach and learn.
And how much is the coaching program?
I charge $1,500.
Dude, that's so cheap.
My online course.
To find the property, to get them set up.
Yeah, no.
Your whole business.
So yeah, it's cool. I kind of vet the people that want to do it by my course. So I'm like, hey, if you're serious, you'll buy the course and then you'll watch it. That's kind of like my buffer, like icebreaker.
Yeah.
Because if they won't do that, then I know like the amount of info I'm going to give them is just going to overwhelm them, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So buy the course, watch it, and then I'll probably end up refunding them through the commission that I make.
Okay.
And then I'll help them build out their business. Because if they build it out, they're going to refer me. And if it's successful, they're going to refer me a ton. So that's the goal.
That's awesome what you're doing right there. Wow, I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to sign up. I need to get this portfolio growing, man.
Yeah.
I got stocks. I got the 401k, the solo K, and I look at it, I'm like, shit, it's so boring, dude. Like I'm a real estate guy. I've been doing this for 20 years, you know, like, and it's sad to say that. I mean, I did extremely well in the houses that I bought, my house and the house before that and stuff. And I made some good money on flips and things like that. But I don't have anything to show for it other than my primary residence.
Yeah, I would just go with this. Like I would try to buy one a year.
Yeah.
1 a year, and then you're going to get addicted to that grind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't pull yourself too much away from your business because you're a monster agent, right?
Mm.
So it's like you got to like, all right, my focus is going to be one a year. And then you'll get to a point where you're like, well, I want to do one a quarter.
Right.
And then I'm at a point where I want to do 20 this year.
Wow.
So
You're doing 20?
Yeah, my goal this year is 20. I'm on pace to do it.
Right on.
That's awesome.
I did 5 on.
So that puts you up to like 60 in your portfolio?
Yeah, about 60.
$100,000 a month is right around the corner.
Yeah,
dude.
it is.
We might not see you in the office in about 6 months. You'll be out.
I don't know. I don't even like to travel, so I don't know what I'll do.
You'll be out by your pool.
More lacrosse.
Yeah, more lacrosse. But that's what's cool. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I do like teaching. I do like the teaching of it. I think that's cool. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't teach it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people online teach it, but they're not doing it. And so with me, people like that I'm actually doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if people are like, oh, I'm scared, I'm like, well, here's my house. Go in, look around. And this is mine. You could feel it. You could touch it. And so it works.
That's really neat. So any advice for anybody who's looking to get into that creative finance or sub-2 deals?
Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody's behind in their mortgage or you know somebody who's behind in their mortgage, I think that needs to be talked about more. There is no education for sellers of what to do or who to call when you're behind in your mortgage.
Because most people think, hey, I'm behind in my mortgage and it's foreclosure.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a short sale or foreclosure.
Yep. So I went on one 2 weeks ago where the guy had no equity in the house. Seller had no equity in the house. He's like, I've had 10 agents in here and no one knew what to do. Because any real estate agent's like, oh, we can't sell your house because there's no equity in it, and you're not going to come out of pocket to pay me to sell it. And you're not going to write a check to the bank because you have no money. So what do you do? And I think there needs to be some more information out there of what to do, the correct process.
And do you offer coaching for that as well?
I do. I coach a lot of people. And I don't really advertise it. It's just kind of through Instagram, whoever comes in and, hey, I need like a session or two. I could teach you.
Yeah. You got something?
Have you had any luck purchasing a creative finance deal through the MLS when someone's being represented?
Yes.
You have?
I have.
Okay. I've made a few calls and they're like, get out of here with that. We don't, because they're afraid of it. They don't know the representing agent.
I'll give you an example. I wanted a new house and I saw a house that I really liked, half acre in San Rafael, Silverado Ranch, and walked the house. This was like dead time last year. And my brother looked it up and we realized the house was paid off by the seller and he wasn't getting the price that he wanted. And I was like, would you do a seller finance deal, an owner will carry? And he was like, sure. He understood it.
Mm-hmm.
An older gentleman, good in business. And he's like, I want these terms in the deal. And then I renegotiated it. I was like, look, I feel like that's a little too high. This is kind of my sweet spot. And he took it.
That was the owner, though, right?
That was the owner.
But the agent didn't give you any resistance initially off of
The
this?
agent was a very experienced agent with it, too.
Okay.
Linda Logan. Shout out to Linda Logan.
There you go.
She was awesome. She really went to bat for me. But she understood it because she knew the market where it was dead.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, take the money from Jason because he's giving you this interest. and that interest is a lot.
Yeah.
So I overpaid a little bit, but I got a really unique product because, I mean, a single story with half acre
It's
in a
pretty legit.
really in a nice gated community, there would have been 30, 50 offers on this thing in a regular market.
Mhm.
But you have to take advantage of when everybody's running away from the market.
That's when you go in.
You're kind of running right in.
Yeah.
Well, as a quick question, I'm going to pick your brain while
Yeah.
you're here before you leave. As an agent who wants to start, trying to put these deals together, say you come across a selling agent who is very, giving a lot of resistance to this idea when really they're supposed to present any offer to their client. How do you recommend kind of getting through to that agent to open up the door to get to their client?
I
You get what I'm
got it.
saying?
You ready? I just asked the agent, you want to make money? Yes or no? Okay, because you can't sell this house, right? So I politely say
Boom.
that, right?
Boom. There you go.
Do you want to make money? Yes or no? And they say yes. I go, then you should listen. Oh, the seller doesn't want to do that. And then I just you have to really, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
They don't understand it, right? And they're not able to explain it to their seller correctly. So if a seller is in distress, they're selling their house for a reason,
Right.
right? And a lot of the time, people are just like, this is too expensive, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
So you have to explain it to them, like, look, we'll use $1 million house, for example. If you look at the interest of like 5%, like that interest is so heavy in the beginning. So yeah, you're selling your house for $1 million, but the owner will carry. You really could be selling it for like 1.2, 1.3 million as time goes on, and you're collecting that payment. You become the bank.
Right.
Sure.
That's what the banks do, right? They
Yep.
give out the mortgage. They just collect that interest.
Yep.
It's all profit for them. They're just crushing it. So you really have to explain it, and I feel like I'm really good at that. Really good at just experience with it now. Just explain to the agent and explaining it to the seller. And I say it all the time. It's funny. You know the canyons right here? I had one.
Yeah.
And the agent would not let me get on a call with the seller. I'm like, if you just let me explain it, I could explain it in a way that it will be a win for him, and it'll definitely be a win for me, and a win for you too, because you're going to sell the house and make money. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if more
We'll
agents
see.
do
Well,
it.
that just right there just separates good agents from
100%.
inexperienced agents, or maybe even bad agents. And
Yeah, I mean, creative financing it's popular now because the market's different. The market's different. Like this would have never been going on like 2.5 years ago, where there's 30 offers on every house because every seller would just be like, I'm just going to throw it on the market. It's happening more now because sellers aren't getting the price they want, and they're being very impatient. So they're just like, just get rid of this thing anyway, type form. Just take it.
Yeah. The deal that I'm doing up in North Las Vegas with the VA assumable, I think the house is probably worth $685-ish or so. They have it listed for $700. They've owned it for a year, and if they were to sell it in the open market, they would definitely have an appraisal issue. Agent thinks that he won't have an appraisal issue. I told him straight up, like, you will have one, right? So let's do this assumable, try and negotiate terms. And they are like so stuck on, we're not going to lower the price. We're not going to lower the price. I'm like, well, you're going to have an issue. Anyways, my clients want the house so damn bad, they're going to pay a list price for it, but they're going to cut them a check for almost $60,000.
Wow.
Just to slide in at a 4.99% interest rate.
So
not even like a 2.8.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a few assumables before. They're a pain. Yeah, but it's just like the deal I did a video on it. I'll send it to you guys. It was just so smooth because when you have a seller who understands it and the agent who understands it, you could really just work around the math to make it a win-win. Like the guy wanted 40% down. I was like, dude, like that's crazy. On a $900,000 house, that's a lot of money. I said, how about I give you 15%? And he was like, okay, now I get 3% commission. So really only putting 12%. And he was like, well, I want this interest rate. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I want this payment. So now I'm going to raise the price to get the payment where I need it to be, to where I'm comfortable. And at one point, he was just like, okay, I'm cool with getting this payment every single month. And you're happy because you got the house.
And is it amortized over 30 years?
So I did a 2-year note, so I have to refinance in 2 years. But yes, it's amortized over 30 years. So I have to refinance this thing where I got the rates rates got to come down. But it's like, yeah, you're biting the bullet now.
Yeah,
it sucks. Like I'm a year into it, but like next year or whenever the rates do come down, they will come down. I think normal. Then you hit a home run.
Yeah.
Because then that $6,000 mortgage payment becomes $3,500.
Right.
And
Nice.
you're like,
I mean, I hope these rates come down. They were talking about 4, and then they talked about 6 rate drops through this year, and then now they're
0.
like, they went back up.
Oh.
yeah, they
They're
went
like-
back up.
They're like, what is going on?
I'm having a lot of trouble with my listings, to be honest with you. I have one listing. I have 40 showings in Southern Highlands. It has
wow.
solar, and it's hard to explain to the seller. Like, buyers have really a lot of options. Like, they have options. They have a lot of more firepower than we have. So it's like we really got to coddle every single person who wants to see this house, and like kind of offer them the closing costs and offer them, well, maybe we'll pay the solar off for you.
Yeah. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more inventory. I mean, we've already seen an uptick in inventory. There's still a lot of activity, but like to your point, there are a lot of options. And new homes, they just keep building and they're opening new communities. So sellers are starting to, feel a pinch with that because of the seller concessions that the buyers or the builders are offering the buyers. I mean, I think it's, if you can really structure the deal right to all of your points, the buyer can really find a stellar deal.
Yeah, no.
There's still some
100%.
really good opportunities out there and ways to get around those higher interest rates. You just got to find them.
It's like Chuckets came in the other day and he was like, I have like $50 million worth of buyer approvals. And I'm like, are any of them active? And he's like, no. Like, it's insane, like how expensive it is. So they're just waiting. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Third, fourth quarter, maybe.
Hopefully. I'm hoping so.
I know. I think
Something's got to give, man.
Something's got to give. And then we have the July 14th is when the new law comes into play.
I know, I can't even get into that.
I know. That was our episode last week.
And what do you think about it?
Well, my opinion is this. I think that number one, buyers are going to be put in a very bad position because they're going to be unrepresented. And I think sellers are going to try to not pay a buyer's agent or offer any commission because they're going to try to save as much money as possible. But the buyers, if they're very loyal to their agents, which a lot of them are, will only look at homes that will cover that cost.
Yeah.
So then you're going to see inventory sit on the market for a lot longer.
Yep.
And then sellers are going to be like, you know what? Maybe we should offer a co-op. Let's start with 1%, 1.5% and see where that takes us. But I think we're going to see some fluctuations in the beginning. People are going to try to figure it out. What a good thing is that it just came out a couple days ago that with these loans, sellers can only contribute so much, whether it's 3%. So now a seller concession for a commission isn't considered into that credit. So it relieves them from that cap.
I'm curious of how I know everyone's on the retail side of things looking at it as a real estate agent, and obviously been following it, but I just don't. I can't just wrap my mind of like that's gonna affect me, or else I'll go sideways, right? So I'm curious of what I'm hoping is that more sellers will come to people like me and just go around agents and be like, hey, can just bring an investor to me, right, and give me more opportunities to buy more real estate. I'm curious if that's going to happen.
Possibly.
Potentially. And again, that goes back to education. You need to do more social media videos so you can pump it out there, do some more ads to where people are hearing it more often and then they're more curious about it to learn.
Well, Joey, would you take a listing when this happens, July 14th, where the seller says, no, I'm not paying a buyer commission?
I already have one.
You did?
Well, coming up. So that was the first question. They were like, "Hey, so what's going on with this whole, lawsuit? So we don't have to pay a buyer's commission, right?" I said, "No. Doesn't mean that you're not allowed to. It just means that you have an option if you want to or not." I said, "The fee is still 5%. So you're going to pay me 5%. I'm going to co-op it. I'm going to tell you because it's going to bring more agents to your house, and you want to sell quickly for the highest dollar. Right. You want to be competitive. You don't want to not pay somebody and then let your house die on the vine and then keep reducing the price. You're going to lose money.
So you've already acquired the listing at 5%.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with everybody else. And I think, like I said, sellers that are for sale by owner, they always end up listing with an agent. Because they can't market the house. They're not getting the showings. They don't want to deal with the paperwork. They don't know how to negotiate, or they just don't want to deal with buyers directly in general.
No,
So-
I think John did a video recently. I thought it was great, where it's like people are going to really have to show their value. And
Sure.
so something over the past 2 years for me, where I'm just so much more confident in what I do, and I know this market really, really well. And I think a lot of my clients really like that I also invest, because you get a lot of agents who don't invest, and they're like, oh, I know the market better than anyone. Like, I feel like you really have to buy to really understand and know the rental side of things too, where you could really give the sellers options, and sellers like that. So, like, if like, go use somebody else who's not experienced, but if like you wanted somebody who's really experienced and in the game, and I actually got a listing like that. I said to the seller, like, how many, it seems like you know a lot about real estate. Like, how many houses do you own? Just one. Okay, well, how do you know? So I have 33 of them. Like, I don't understand how you are so confident. And his wife was like, see, listen to Jason. Like, he knows what he's talking about. So it's like, it's a nice, like, real, just like backing that I have, that like I know what I'm doing.
And to your point too, I mean, you have a lot of new agents that come right out of the gate and they want to sell their first house and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And they go to like an EXP or another brokerage where they don't have the support and they don't have somebody guiding them through the contracts, which are written by attorneys, but you have to understand the contracts, timelines, and how to protect your client, right? So they don't lose their money or find themselves in a lawsuit. So what I think would be amazing for this industry is that all new agents have to basically be an apprentice for a particular amount of time.
That's a great idea.
Just like appraisers do, they have to work under somebody for a year. So why not real estate agents? I mean, you're in charge, or you're assisting somebody with the largest purchase they'll ever make in their life. And you're no disrespect to anybody out there, but a new agent, doesn't matter if you were in sales before, but if you don't know how to navigate the waters and negotiate and have your, you put yourself in a precarious position.
I have a great example of that. Like my team agent Claudia, she was with me for years, just being my assistant TC, and then she got her license, and it was unbelievable because I'm like, new agents, they only do like 3 deals a year, right, on average, like the first year, and she's up to like 7 in her first like 4 or 5 months, and I'm like, wow, it's because she was in the waters before, and she just shot out like a shot. I'm like, you're really good at this. Like, this is really impressive. And I'm like, and then I'm like sitting back. I'm like, she really soaked in the time and just the info for years. And she's good. Yeah, she's really good at it. It's awesome.
That's amazing. And that's what I think real estate agents, that's where they need to be. And to John's point as well, that you're really gonna have to show your value. So during the buyer consultations, you really need to show why a buyer should be paying you a fee.
Yep.
Right. And so if you can't prove that to them, then maybe you don't earn that, or maybe you don't deserve that fee, So
we will see.
We will see, man. Well, look, man, it was awesome having you on the show.
Thanks,
I truly appreciate it. You're a wealth of knowledge. If anyone out there is looking to get into the short-term rental business or looking for some creative, finance deals or some education, we're going to leave a link in the description below to Jason's course. Make sure you click on it. And if you want, we could put your contact information down there as well.
I'm a big
Reach out to him directly. This guy's a wealth of knowledge, absolutely murders it here in Las Vegas and many other states here in the U.S. So thanks again so much for coming on.
For having me.
That was awesome, man. Thanks for coming.
All right. Till next time, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.